Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at what a theoretical major might look like if we took all the players that have won majors in the post-quarantine era and put them all into one massive bracket. This is such a cool idea and it wasn't made by me, it was made by GHOSTTOAD on Twitter. Please go give them a follow, like or retweet the post, whatever. Their link will be in the description down below. Please just go give them some interaction because this is just such a cool idea. I think we can cover a lot of topics here, like all the players that have been really good in this post-quarantine era. Like, the pools are just really cool themselves. I just get to talk about the top of Ultimate, which is always a fun time. So go give them a follow. The link will be down below, and let's get right into it. Before we get into the pools, I want to take a look at the major winners themselves because there is 25 people that have won a major in the post-quarantine era. And by the way, the post-quarantine era for this list is going to be from Summit 3 onwards. So there are a couple Japanese tournaments before that, but they aren't on this list, just so like we don't get confused about that. But MK Leo has won 14 majors. Oh my god, that is so impressive. He's just so good. Aqua with 8 as well. Those are all within this year. Spargo with 5, also all within this year. Mia with 4, also all within this year. Like, this is actually unreal. Mia especially, like, Mia's majors are all within, like, the span of, like, a couple months. Like, incredibly impressive. Light as well as had some very good wins. And Tweak he went the first major. And then he had such a long drought. Well, it wasn't even a drought because he was still doing very well. He just wasn't winning the entire event. But then he came back. He won Port Priority. He won Let's Make Big Moves, which is incredibly hype. Like, Tweak is doing really, really well again, which I think is sick to see because he's such an interesting player. The way he plays this game, I feel like there's no one else. The way he, like, thinks about stuff, the way he's pushing the meta with certain characters, I think is incredible. T and Zachary as well being both very dominant. Zachary, I feel like also kind of people a little bit forgot how good Zachary actually is when he's, like, super trying. He did win Wanted, and then he won, I think, 2 Kaguribis. One of them was with Sora, which is, like, crazy. I don't know how people let that happen. Not that Sora can't win a major, but, like, Zachary Sora, that crusty Sora that we're never going to see again, that's, like, actually absurd that he's the first person to do it. Onin as well with Gommel and Smashgun. Those are obviously very, very impressive wins. Also interesting, though, only 2 Steve players have won majors. I think that's the only repeat on this list. I guess Aegis as well, but still something interesting to note. And then Proto as well with his 2 American major wins. And Cosmos with 2 as well, which I think might surprise a decent amount of people. But again, Cosmos is really, really good. He won Shine, he won Glitch. He's an absolutely amazing player. And I think he's going to have an amazing 2023 year, by the way. He's already started off very, very strong with a really good Let's Make Big Moves and a really good Genesis. Like, Cosmos is looking like a very scary player right now. And then we have a bunch of people with 1 major win. Sonic, Shootone. Shootone won Wave, by the way. A lot of people, that kind of, like, slipped under the belt, but he did win Wave 2, I believe it was. And then Gluttony as well with his Pound win. Riddles at the Big House. Yoshidora at Meisuma, I want to say 7, but I'm not very confident in that. Bloom Forever in, I think, UFA was his win. Salt 1, he won CEO. Ken won Battle of BC. Mars won Lost Tech City. Tilde won Riptide. Another thing like people don't talk about enough. That's very impressive. Esam with his win at Glitch 8.5. Away at like that. A lot of people forgot about that one as well. Quid with his win at Let's Make Big Moves. And Pelly with his win at BCA. I did not have to look that up. If you think I had to look that up, not only are you a hater, but you think I'm not a Pelly fan, which I am, because he is really, really good. And this was also the first time a European player took a tournament over Gluttony in Europe, which is incredibly impressive. Like, this is huge props to Pelly. He played very, very well, and he's also been doing consistently well still. Like, he hasn't had that quite high yet, but I think he got top 8 at the other VCA that just happened recently. Like, so Pelly is very, very good. Like, probably top 3 Sonic in the world right now. Also, 3 Sonic players on the list. Just saying, guys. 2 C players, 3 Sonics. I don't know what that. I don't know. Just saying. And then we have also Luigi with his really, really good win at Tech Republic, which is very impressive. He is the alternate for this list. Is something to consider. So you could switch him in, I guess, for any of these like 1 major players. But the way that the seeding goes for this is basically just like if you have more major wins, you're going to be seeded higher. So Mia is the 4th seed, and then I think they just ranked up based off how good they think the players are. You have Sonic's like really high because he's been doing very well recently. Same thing, Shootone, Gluttony, Riddles, all that kind of stuff. So pretty interesting to see. I think it's interesting to see what players have been incredibly consistent. Leo is basically the only one. Like, he has a bunch of major wins in 2021 and 2022. Tweak also has some in 2021 and 2022, but not that level of consistency. Tweak, though, does have them in 2021, 2022, and 2023. So does Leo, though, but, like, come on, it's Leo. And then Spargo, all of his are in 2022. On 2022, and Mia, a lot of 2022. Granted, we had a ton of tournaments in 2022, like, every weekend was a major. It was actually unreal. So there's going to be a lot of majors for people to win, but it's still interesting to see like how broadly this is spread. I think it's really, really cool. So the way that I'm actually going to do this bracket, because I want to make an actual bracket out of this, is we're going to do 2 players getting out winner's side, 2 players getting out losers, and 2 players eliminated, kind of Japan 24 style. And in Pool A, I think it's pretty obvious that Leo's getting out. I think that is the only gimme that he's getting out in the winner's side because he has a very good matchup versus Zachary. He's really good versus Steve now, so he probably is going to beat Onan. He just beat Sonics at Genesis, so he probably is going to beat Pelly. Yoshidora and Bloom are a bit of question marks, but I assume he beats Bloom just because of how good he was against Bea in Smash 4. And I know it's a very different character, but like a very different character in the fact that they are just way worse, so I assume he would beat Bloom. And then Yoshidora is a pretty big question mark for me, but also I'm just going to answer that question mark by saying he also probably gets out in the winner's side of the bracket because Yoshidora is absolutely insane. And for people to get out in the loser side, I'd probably guess Onan and Bloom, which means I'd have Zachary and Pelly going out in losers, or just not even getting out of the group, which is pretty insane. Like, Zachary has won multiple majors this year. Multiple majors this year because he won one at the start of the year and then he won Wanted, which is pretty unreal. But I think Yoshidora and Leo, they've been on such a tear recently. Onan, even though he's had a little bit of a rough patch, he's still doing very, very well. His placements aren't even that bad. We just know he can get higher. And then Bloom Forever is obviously absolutely amazing. He ain't never hit no rough patch. He is just so good. I really, really hope we can see him travel. Hey, maybe if event like this ever happens, I doubt it will, but it'd be the coolest thing ever. We could have all these players traveling out. Pelly thing, same thing as well. I don't think Pelly's ever actually traveled to NA. I'm not confident on that at all, but we need to see them there because I think European players are severely underrated. We saw a bit of that at Genesis when Natoru and Leon getting a bunch of big upsets. So I'd like seeing them here, but I think Bloom and Onan get out loser side, Yoshidora and Leo get out in the winner side, and Zachary and Pelly are eliminated. For Pool B, we have Aquila, T, Proto, Riddles, Salt1, and Quid. Now, this is not as easy as Pool A, because Aquila definitely gets out winner side. That's my pick there. Now, the other person get out winner side, I have no clue. Now, here's what I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick Proto, because I assume this is max practice Proto, and I assume that this tournament is in the U.S., and Proto, when he's in the U.S., is the best player in the world, and a majority of these players in this group are from the U.S., so I'm going to give Proto it, but, like, literally any of these players could definitely take that spot with ease. They're all so good. I mean, they've all won majors before, so of course they're good. But like, I feel like out of all the groups, this one might be the closest. But I haven't looked at the other ones, so I might just be lying. But we have T, Riddles, Cola, Quid. If I had to go off recency, it would be just Aquila and T. But like, Proto is just so good. It's really, really hard to underrate him. And then to get out in the loser side, I would pick T. He's definite. And then I want to pick Quid for the fans, for content, and because he's amazing. But I think I am going to go with Riddles, just because Riddles he's so good. It's really hard to bet against him. And also, Riddles has been investing back into his Terry, which I think is very promising, and it'll make him a lot of a better player, just because having a secondary just gives you so much more balance in general. So I'm going to give it to Riddles, but I think Cola and Quid, or rather, sorry, Salt1 and Quid could definitely take it, because they're both also amazing. Salt1 just had a really strong Genesis. Even though his placement isn't amazing, he had a couple good wins. His losses aren't bad at all. It's like Roy's worst matchup into Aquila, so I wouldn't feel too bad about that. Like, Cola is Salt1, gotta keep messing it up, sorry. Salt1 is very good. Same thing with Quid. Maybe Quid will hopefully Quid will prove me wrong at Colossal, and then I'll be like, or Collision, and then I'll be like, I'm sorry, Quid, I should have put you in the winner's side, my bad. Please do that, but for now, we're gonna have Aquila and Proto getting out winner's side, and T and Riddles getting out in losers. Now for Pool C, we have Spargo, Tweak, Cosmos, Gluttony, Ken, and Esim. I have 3 players in my mind getting out winner's side, and that's Spargo, Tweak, and Gluttony. I'm going to pick Spargo as my definite, and then between Tweak and Gluto, I'm going to pick Tweak purely because of how much faith I've been having in Tweak Sephiroth as of late. Now, I think Sephiroth is a garbage character. Not garbage, he's like high tier, but compared to what other people think of him, I think very lowly of this character. Even when I watch like Ned, Strix, Ken play, I just think they are all very good, but I don't think Sephiroth is good. Also, side tangent, completely unrelated. Strix just beat Mia at Kagribi. Let's go, Australia, the best region. Nothing to do with the video. I just wanted to mention it because that's incredibly hype. But Tweak, when I watch his Sephiroth play, I'm like, okay, Tweak is incredible, and this character is stupid. His planking with that character is pretty much unmatched, as well as Tweak's neutral just being very strong. Like, he is some of the best patient neutral in the game, if not the best. Like, it's actually unreal. So I am going to pick Tweak for this, as well as the Diddy Kong just being really strong. But then Gluttony is definitely in the losers bracket for me. And now we have Cosmos, Ken, and Esam. Now, Cosmos and Esam are tough because they are some of the hardest players in the world to predict how they're going to do, because they sometimes do very well, top 10 players in the world easily, and then sometimes they are not that, to put it lightly. But Cosmos' consistency as of late has been very impressive. He just got 9th at both Let's Make Big Moves and Genesis, and ESAM didn't have a great Genesis as well. And while one tournament isn't going to be the only result, we've just been seeing more results from Cosmos, so I am going to pick him. Ken is also definitely in contention here as well, but he's kind of the same thing. A little bit inconsistent. I do think that Cosmos' highs are a bit higher, so I'm picking the top 4 seeds here. I know, pretty bold, but I just think that's probably how it's going to go. But I think the closest decision here is between like ESAM, Ken, Cosmos. I think those 3 could be interchangeable, and I think Tweak and Gluto could be interchangeable. The only one that I'm fairly confident about is Spargo and Winners. So that's the Pool C. Now, Pool D has Mia, Light, Sonic, Shuton, Mars, and Tilde. Now, this isn't recency bias, I promise, like recency bias from like 20 minutes ago, but I am going to choose Light and Sonics as the winners because I think they are both really, really good. Sonics might be my only definite because I think he beats everyone in this group. Not handily, but I think he beats everyone in this group except Light. And then I think Light should probably beat everyone in this group except maybe Mia because that could be a tough matchup for him. Maybe Shuton as well, but I think he does very well against everyone else here. I could see Mia also getting on the winner's side because he is very, very good. And I have Mia and losers, by the way. So I have Light and Sonics and winners, Mia and Shuton and losers because Shuton's consistency is just like actually unreal. He is so good. He also has a shot versus Sonics as well because of the amount of like reps he has versus Ken. That's definitely something to be stated. So I have Shuton and Mia. Now Mars and Tilde definitely could take it because these are 2 very explosive players with high highs. They could beat everyone on this list. It's just a thing of, again, like kind of like ESAM. Will they beat everyone on this list? And it's hard to bet with them. But also, like, Tilde has a very good matchup versus Mars. So, like, that's one for him that does hurt Mars because he, like, bodied Mars the last time they played. Now, that was, like, it's been a very, very long time. So things obviously could have changed in that window. But I would probably still put Tilde over Mars if I had to pick. But also, Mars is crazy. I could definitely see him being, like, he has a very good matchup versus Mia as well. I feel like out of all, Pool D is, like, the most interesting just with, like, the character matchups. Because there's a lot of people that just, like, directly counter each other, like, kind of in, like, a triangle-esque way. So this one could go literally anyway, but I'm going to have Light and Sonics, and then Shuton and Mia for loser side. Light Sonics for winners, by the way. And then, unfortunately, Mars and Tilde are out. But now we have our final bracket, and now we can get to the juicy part. But actually before top 16 because it wouldn't be a good proof block video if we didn't get into an unnecessary tangent. But I want to talk about some players that haven't gotten that major win yet. Big emphasis on yet. I expect at least half of these players to probably get a major win in 2023. I have a lot of faith in everyone here, as well as a bunch of other people not on this list because, again, the top level of Smash right now is so close together. But we have Dabuz, Mudes, Hito, Siski, Karama, Zamba, Meister, Asimo, Hikaru, Kameme, Big D, Apollo Kage, Ouch, and Jackal. This is, again, a very, very small list of players that I expect to win a major in 2023. I think they're all incredible. A lot of them have been very close with, like, top 3s, top 2s. Like, they're all absolutely amazing. I expect one of them will get it, at least one of them. A lot of them probably will. And just thought that should be something I'll mention. But now, actually, the top 16. And here we are for the top 16. And this was, of course, made by the GOAT, ICOOKIEMONSTERZ, please. Their stuff will also be in the description down below. So go give them a follow. Another shout out to GHOSTTOAD because, again, I'm really enjoying this video. I hope you guys are too. So go give them a follow because it literally would not be happening without them. But this is roughly what the bracket would look like. The bracket's not actually going to happen, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But this is pretty much what it would look like with what we have for our seeding. And then losers round 1, we have Onin versus Shuton. Now, they've never played. Onin, I don't know how good he is versus Olimar. I know Shuton beat Akla one time and then got sauced by Akla the next time, right? So he has a losing record versus Akla overall, but Onin and Akla play very different styles of Steve, so I don't know how Onin and Shuton would do. I am going to give this one to Shuton, purely for the fact that Shuton has still been doing very well recently, and Onin hasn't been doing as well, but this could go honestly either way, just because of how, like, weird Steve is in a matchup. Like, some Steves you do very, very well against, and some Steves you do very poor against, so that could be interesting. Bloom and Mia, I feel like Game & Watch Bayo isn't doable, but also we could see maybe Game & Watch Brawler, because that is very doable. So maybe Bloom would bring out one of his secondaries and actually farm. I could 100% see that, but for, like, what it would be Bloom Bayo, I think, or rather Bayonetta Game & Watch, I think Mia does take that one. T and Cosmos. T has been doing very well versus Cosmos as of late, though we have seen signs of life from Cosmos, even though it was with the Korin, and I don't think that'll work again. I think the Aegis definitely can do it, but, like, from what we've seen in the past, it looks like T would probably take that one. And then Riddles and Gluttony. Now, this one is interesting because Kazuya and Gluttony it's a struggle. He doesn't do very well versus those characters, but Gluttony has been slowly just getting better. He just slowly gets better than matchups. His adaptation is constantly improving. He's been doing very, very well recently. I do think I'm still going to give it to Riddles, though, because 1, Riddles is crazy. 2, he might just play Terry, which would be very, very strong versus Glucini, same thing. So I think Riddles does take that. All these matches are kind of up in the air. The one I'm the least confident about is still probably Owen and Shootone. The one I'm most confident about, probably T Cosmos, but, like, again, these could go either way. These matchups are all very, very interesting, but when you have a stacked bracket like this, every matchup is going to be good. Our first matchup is going to be Leo and Sonics, and I do think that Leo takes this just because he did win it at Genesis, but also Sonics definitely could have, maybe even should have won that set. He was dropping a lot of edge guards versus Leo, which is like kind of the key thing you need in that matchup to win, because Aegis is one of the only characters that can consistently keep up with the neutral Sonic, which is like, that makes Sonic so good. His neutral is really, really hard to deal with, but Aegis can deal with it pretty well, but Sonic destroys them off stage, so if you're not getting those edge guards, you're just going to lose. But also, Leo's Aegis is very, very good. It is hard to beat. I imagine it would beat all Aegis because, again, the matchup is the best. It's like way, way better than Joker, so I do think that Leo takes that, but not impossible from Sonics. Now, Light and Yoshidora, I have no clue. I have literally no idea. I don't even know how good Light is against Yoshi. I don't know how good Yoshidora is against Fox. Like, I have zero ideas. I'm gonna give it to Light because I think Light is really, really good, and he plays in such a fast playstyle that maybe Yoshidora wouldn't be used to, because again, Japan is typically slow. Light usually does well against Japan, especially the first time he plays a Japanese player, so I am going to give it to Light, but I could definitely see Yoshidora taking that. Aquila Tweak, I'm going to give this one to Tweak, even though Aquila did beat him the last time they played. I think that was at Miami, I'm pretty sure. But I think Tweak has been getting way, way better at the Steve match. Even at Let's Make Moves Miami, he showed a lot of signs of life in that set, and he's gotten a lot better recently. Like, in that time, he's just become way more consistent. I don't even know if it would be Sephiroth or Diddy. I don't know which matchup is actually better there. But I think with either or, he could definitely take the set. But maybe we'd see, like, I don't know, the Aegis from Aquila. Like, I doubt it, because I don't think that's a great counterpick against Tweak. But, like, it's possible, you know? And then the last one is Spargo and Proto. Now, this one's also pretty tough, because I think the only time they played, Proto did take it. But I also think it was like a very long time ago, or I'm just making it up. I am going to give it to Proto, though, just because he plays Min Min. And I don't know how Cloud deals with Min Min. I feel like that matchup is very, very hard. Spargo definitely can take it. Maybe he goes Aegis, even though I don't think that would be that much better, to be honest, because you still get kind of bodied off stage. But I think Proto would probably take that one just because the matchup is in his favor. But again, all these players, even if the matchup's in your favor, at this super top level, a good matchup doesn't guarantee the win because everyone is just very, very impressive. So these could go either way, but this is my prediction for the winner side of top 8 at least. Now, our first loser's ninth match is Spargo versus Shootone, and out of all the matches, this is the one I'm the least confident in. I don't think we've ever seen this one, but I'm going to give it to Spargo just because Shootone can't go Olimar. Like, if he goes Olimar, he's going to lose. And it has to be Aegis, and I think Spargo does pretty well versus Aegis. Now, it's not impossible. We've seen Spargo lose to Aegis before, but obviously he's very familiar with the character. He could even force the Ditto if he wanted to, which he probably won't, but that's always something that you can have. It's like, okay, if I'm comfortable in Ditto, I can force it, and Shootone just kind of has to take it, because if he switches to Olimar, I get to counterpick him with Cloud for free, and then he just loses. So I think Spargo probably takes that. Aquila Mia. Aquila has been very dominant versus Mia in the past. He hasn't taken a set yet, I don't think. Mia hasn't, which is like big emphasis on yet, again, because Mia is very, very good, even though he had a bit of a rough patch with just like, basically just like a bad Umabora, which he got like Knight at, and then a rough start to Kagurabi, but maybe he'll make the loser run. He probably will make the loser run. That's kind of what Mia does, but I do think that Aquila takes that. Yoshidora and T, also tough, but just because T took it the last time they played, I feel like every single time you play against Yoshi, you're just going to get better and better against the character because you're going to know how to deal with armor better, so I think T probably takes that one. And then Sonics and Riddles, I'm going to give to Sonics just because Sonic destroys every single character that Riddles plays. Maybe we'll see, like, I don't know, the Roy come out. Maybe, unironically, we could see that, maybe if he grinds that matchup. I think if he's going to beat Sonic, though, it's going to have to be with Terry because Kazuya Sonic does not look doable. That matchup is very, very hard. Obviously, Kazuya can do every matchup because it is Kazuya, but that looks incredibly difficult, so I would put Sonics over Riddles there, but also Riddles, like, his secondary game is very, very strong. It's really underrated how good the Roy is, how good the Terry is. I mean, everyone knows how good the Terry is, but, like, the Joker as well, the Belmont, I think all those characters could come out of the pocket and have a lot of use. We're just going to have to see if it would actually help. Now, our loser seventh is Spargo and Aquila for the first one, and that matchup is really, really hard for Steve, as well as just being hard for Aquila. Whenever they play, or at least the last two times they played, Spargo took it very dominantly. He was looking incredibly strong in that matchup. Again, it is a tricky one for Aquila, and his adaptation game is very good. I wouldn't even be surprised if the next time we see this, it's like he tries the Kazuya, or he tries the Aegis, or the Donkey Kong. I doubt the Donkey Kong, but it would be funny. Because it's just like, it's a really, really tough match for Aquila. I do think he can figure it out, but I would give it to Spargo for now. And T Sonics is also tough, because this one, T doesn't have access to Kazuya just because that matchup is abysmal. And that's kind of the best thing about T's gameplay, is how he balances between the two mains, right? It's really, really strong. It makes him a very scary player to play against. But now, the fact that he's restricted to one main, it doesn't mean that it's unwinnable. Of course, he definitely can do it. But I think it gives Sonic such a big advantage that other players wouldn't have against T. And I am going to give it to Sonic. I think they're also like 1-1 lifetime. I don't know what T's record is versus Ken Sonic, because I know he's definitely positive versus Ken, but I think a lot of that is with the Sephiroth as well, which is like, you know, the result doesn't really matter for this context. So I will give it to Sonic just because he's been doing very well. By the way, Sonic is like a top 5, like caliber player in the world right now. He has been playing very well. Like, I think your top 4 is still the top 4 that's been for a little bit, but your top 5 is like, or like your 5th place position is like, could be Light T, Sonic's, Yoshidora, maybe Chutone, like all those players are definitely deserving of that spot. Sonics is so good, so I am going to give him that win over T, but that could go honestly either way. It's very, very tough to choose. Now, our first matchup in the winner's semifinals is Light and Leo. Now, Leo is such a good player that he has a list, at least in my mind. There's the Leo list, and these are people that when they go against MK Leo, there's a chance they could win or maybe even be favored. This list has Tweak, Gluttony, Protobonum, Spargo, and Light is one of those players, as well as a bunch of other ones like Esam's on there at the top of my head as well. I think Light is very, very good versus Leo, but that doesn't mean the win is guaranteed. He was very close to Genesis, but we saw Leo did clutch it out. It would be Joker Fox, probably. I doubt we see the Byleth like ever again, at least in that matchup. We're definitely going to see the Byleth more, of course, but not in that matchup, I don't think. I do think Leo does take it just because, again, we're playing odds here, we're betting. It's almost always smart to bet on Leo, but I think Light could definitely take the one. And Tweak Proto, I'm going to bet Tweak. Now, I think the last time they played was at Summit 4. I'm pretty sure they played twice. I don't know which one of them won the most recent set, but I know Tweak won one and I know Proto won one. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess Tweak though, just because I think Monkey Flip versus Lucina specifically, like just Diddy Kong Lucina is really tough. So basically, it's just gonna be, can Tweak beat the Min, and I think he can. Like we saw Tweak versus Justice at Port Priority. That was set with some decimation. Now Proto has a higher Min than Justice, but Justice is like very, very good. I'd say he's probably like second or third best Min in the world right now, because you have like Omatsu's probably second or third as well, and then DeBuzz's Min is very good. I feel like DeBuzz is more just like a top player using Min than a very good Min though, which is like, of course, no disrespect to DeBuzz, he's definitely in that conversation as well because he's amazing. Zerxel as well is very, very good, but Justice is obviously incredible. Don't know why I got a little Min tangent there, but Proto is obviously number 1. I still do think that Tweak does take it, though, just because of how well he would do versus Lucina. I don't know if Sephiroth would come into play at all, but, like, we could see it's always a pocket option. Maybe Wario comes out Wolf. I don't think those would really help, but, like, again, with Tweak, his bag of tricks is very deep. I assume it would be mainly Diddy, and I do think that he would win it, but it wouldn't be impossible for Proto for sure. Now, in Loser's Fist, we have Light versus Spargo, and this one's also very tough, because Light did take it the last time they played, but before that, Spargo had a big streak where he was winning over Light, so I don't really know. I'm going to say it's Light turn that he has a big streak over Spargo and takes that one, but that one is up in the air. Proto and Sonic is the next one. This one is also tough, because I think Min gets bodied by Sonic. I think Lucina does better, but also loses, so I am going to say that Sonic's does get it. Actually, let me check Proto's matchup versus Ken first. So Proto has won the last 8 encounters versus Ken, and granted, a lot of those probably have Sephiroth, if not like most of them have Sephiroth, but he is also 1-0 on Sonics, and it was with the Min, which is like, I'm surprised at, because I feel like Min would get rocked in that matchup, but like, I'm going to give it to Proto for that. Sonics definitely could do it, but I think Proto, just like considering he has the matchup favor, I got to pick one. I'm giving it to Proto, but Sonics is obviously very good and can, again, literally beat any player in the world. Now, our final 4, MK Leo, Tweak, and Light Proto. Now, for Leo Tweak, I am going to give it to Tweak just because the last 3 times they played, Tweak has won, and also Leo does not have a single good character against Diddy Kong. He plays like 6 or 5 characters at a super top level, like major winning level, and not one of them does well against Diddy. It is actually unreal. His best bet is probably Joker, which I could see him winning with because I think Joker, if Joker or Diddy Kong, like one of those characters is going to get better in the matchup, I think it would be Joker just because of Gun specifically. I think Gun could do very, very real dirty barrels off stage. So I think Leo could make the adaptation to win that one, but just based off history and also Tweak just being very good at the Joker matchup, I do think Tweak would win that one. And then Light versus Proto. Light Proto is interesting because every single time they've played, Light has won the first set. If they've ever played twice in the tournament, then Proto wins. At least post-quarantine. I think Proto beat him at EVO, actually, or maybe it was the other way around. But I think Light does win this because Proto doesn't got 2 sets. Listen, let's say they played in winners and Light beat him then, and then they fought in losers, then maybe Proto would take it. Actually, I'd probably guess that Proto takes it because that's the logic I'm going off of. But I'm going to say Proto needs 2 sets to beat Light. Light only needs that 1, so he is going to be able to beat Proto. Leo Light in the run back again. Leo probably wins that in the run back, and then same thing with Leo Tweak. Kind of already spoiled it there, but I do think Tweak would win that in the comeback, or in the run back. And I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This was a super fun video to make. I really enjoyed this one. Huge shouts again to Toastcode for this one, or rather GHOSTTOAD for this. Just again, really, really cool idea. I really loved it. If you have $1 million and you don't know where to spend that money, make this bracket. It would be super sick. If you don't got $1 million, then I think subbing would be just as fine. Thank you for everything. Support's been absolutely unreal lately. You guys are amazing. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.